Hello and welcome to the first actual video of my channel. So, in this episode, I thought it would be really fun to try and rank all the acting Oscar nominees before the actual ceremony happens. And I haven't seen all 20, but I've seen 16. And I thought that was good enough to merit a ranking. So, yeah, I'm just going to give my opinions on each performance. And honestly, I like all the performances here. I don't think any of them are bad, but here's my ranking. In last place, in 16th place, I would put Delroy Lindo. I honestly just don't remember much of anything from his performance, and he does have a few scenes where he's very good, where he gets a few really good contained mini monologues. And I'm happy he was nominated because it was a surprise, and he's just been a really cool advocate for the film. So I think it's really cool that he's nominated, but in terms of the performance itself, it's a cool nomination, but in terms of acting effort and memorability, I just think the other nominees are better, but he does contribute a lot to the ensemble of the film, and I'm happy he's here. In 15th place, I would go with Benicio del Toro, who's also nominated for Best Supporting Actor with Delroy Lindo. And like I said last time, this is also a good performance. It's a lot of fun. The sensei just has a lot of quirks, and it does feel a lot like just Benicio del Toro, but it also feels like someone who's really always in a zen state, which is really funny. And obviously his last shot in the movie is really iconic and well done. And I heard it was improvised too, which is even more cool. In 14th place, I would have to go with Wunmi Masaku. A Sinners is a very good movie, and her character is one of the standouts, I think. And throughout it is really fascinating to watch because she's just such a resourceful and intelligent and thoughtful and interesting character. And I like that she has witchy elements to her, and I really like the last shot of her in the movie, and the relationship between her and I think was it Smoke is very touching. But overall, I just don't remember that much from the performance, and I'm not sure there's one scene where I'm like, wow, that was really Oscar worthy. But it is a good performance and a good character. I just like the other nominees better. And then in 12th place, I would also go with another Best Actor nomination here. It would be Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another. And he's always good in everything, and he is really funny in One Battle After Another, especially the scene on the phone. And you can see, even though he's kind of a washed up old guy, I guess, during the present day scenes, that he still wants to connect with his daughter, and their relationship is very moving. So it's a good comedic performance. There's a touch of dramatic elements too, and he's good, but I think in some ways he's almost a little more ornamental. But his story with Willa is still very good in the movie. For 11, I would have to go with Renata Reinsve for Sentimental Value, and this is kind of similar to the Timothée Chalamet thing, because this is a good performance. It's more subtle and subdued, and in some ways it's kind of gut punching when you realize that this is a person who's kind of been sidelined, and in a way, like her re-encounter with her father when he asks her to be in this movie he's gonna make, it's almost a little too little too late, I'm pretty sure is what the expression is. And you can really see that conveyed in her expressions, and how she has frustrations with him. So it is a good performance, And I really love her expressions when she's going up the escalator and you can see the ads of Rachel Kemp on the screens next to her. Like, there's no words in that scene, but you can really understand what's going through her head just because of her facial expression. So I do think there's elements like that that I do really like about the performance. But overall, I just find the character kind of frustrating because I feel like out of everyone in the movie, she's just the most staid, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I feel like she really couldn't get over her daddy issues, even though, like, her sister has found a way to occupy herself, even though she still has frustrations with the father, too. I feel like the character got into her own head too much, and honestly, it was just kind of frustrating to watch after a while. But again, it's like kind of that thing where, having a frustration with a character versus how they're actually acted. But I would still say that she's like my least favorite performance in the film out of those that were Oscar nominated. But I know some people really like the performance, which I guess is fair. Then at number 10, I would go with Elle Fanning for Best Supporting Actress. I really like her performance in this. I think she's very exuberant and effervescent in her preliminary scenes, I guess. But I really just like how, like, she's playing this very mainstream Hollywood actress, but you can see that she's still actually intelligent and she does want to do a good job. And the scene where she's trying to rehearse the dialogue of the character, like, that's a really great scene, and it's kind of hard to pull off because she's an actor who's playing an actress who's trying to play a character herself, and that's hard to pull off convincingly because she's supposed to be kind of struggling with doing it, like the character Rachel Kemp is. And then I really like the scene at the end where, she confronts him and tells him, I'm just not right for this. So it's a very nice performance, and I'm happy she's nominated. Number 9, I would go with Amy Madigan, and I think this is a very fun nomination. Like, you don't always see this type of nomination at the Oscars. And so I think it's really cool because you can see in her scenes as Gladys that, like, she's actually very measured in how she talks. Like, at the scene where Alex comes down in the morning and she's at the table across from him and they have that conversation, like, she acts that scene really well. And I just really like the duality of the performance, how she changes from this, like, over the top and kind of frivolous woman from Miami to someone who's actually menacing and mysterious. And yeah, it's a very well calibrated performance, and it's really funny. And yeah, it's a fun nomination. At number 8, I would go with Stellan Skarsgård, and I feel like this is really kind of like the definitive role for him. Of someone who has artistic pursuits that didn't fully materialize, I guess, in the way that he wanted to, but also someone who's trying to reconnect with his daughters, and he's trying to, I guess, do both in some ways. And I just really like how he forms a friendship with this actress, and they have a bond even if she doesn't end up ultimately working out for his movie. And I think, like, in some ways the character feels a lot just like Stellan Skarsgård, but also, like, how Stellan Skarsgård is fits perfectly what that character is supposed to be, because he's kind of wry, and he has a dry sense of humor, but he still values emotional connection even if he can't express it in the best way. So yeah, it's a very, very good performance. Number 7, I would go with Michael B. Jordan. And honestly, now that I think back on it, I like his performance more and more because obviously there's the challenge of having to play two different characters. And you can distinguish between the two of them, not just because of the colors. Like, um, was it Stack is a little less ambitious in some ways, and um, I guess he's a little more cheekier. And then, and his relationship with Mary is also kind of sweet in the end, I guess, but also kind of devilish. It's kind of a weird combination, but then also, um, he really gives like a layered performance as Stack, and I really love in the final scene after he's shot down the guys, how you can see like the accumulation of everything that's gone on his face, and just how he has um I don't know, I really like the vulnerability of it after that character had such a tough outer shell for the whole time. um and I just I really love the scene where he looks over and he sees Annie, and then when you see his face afterwards, like I feel like that is really great acting from Michael B. Jordan. And yeah, like Stellan Skarsgård, I also think this is kind of like his definitive role aside from like Killmonger. So yeah, it's really good. My microphone is blinking now, but at number 6, I would go with Emma Stone in Begonia. And honestly, I wasn't expecting to like this performance as much as I do, because it honestly felt like, okay, she's just gonna get nominated for everything that she does now. Um, but like, it is a very fun performance. In some ways, it's kind of similar to Amy Madigan, because in the first scenes, like, she just plays it very well of this corporate figure who wants to make supposed improvements to the company that will be more considerate to people, but really it's just a superficial exercise, and you can that really comes across. Like, I love her expressions when um right before she says like new era, and she gives this very like corporate approved and polished smile. Everything she says is kind of from a rehearsed dialogue that would come from a corporate figure that has become so untouchable that they might as well be alien. um and I really like how bruisey her performance becomes after she gets kidnapped, because you really can't tell if she's being manipulative or if she's being sincere. And I think that's just a testament to the actor's charm, and to um, her ability to just not be so easy to read. So yeah, and I just think the performance is really fun too. So yeah, I really like it. Number 5, I would go with Inga Ibsdottir Lilius from Sentimental Value, and I just felt this was kind of almost like the perfect combination of all the other performances in the movie, because there's subtlety, because Agnes, or the sister, is always in the background, but then you can see I think she's emotionally intelligent in that she has control over her emotions. Um, and I really like that the character finds ways to be fulfilled outside of having frustrations with her father. And I just think that really comes across with the actress, because if you read about her, um, she just does a lot in her daily life outside of acting, and I think that really comes through in the character, because she just really seems like a normal person, but then also um, during the scene where her father is trying to convince her to put her son in his movie, or to have her son in his movie, where she kind of goes off on him, like, it felt just very natural and not contrived in the way that it might have been. Um, And I just think that the actress was very natural throughout, and I think that really helped actually. So I really like the performance. And at number four, I would go with Tiana Taylor. And this is another one of those really subtle performances, but I really like how like prickly it is. Um, like there's just some shots of her that are so memorable because you can see after she's had the baby, like there's a shot of her sitting on the couch and she's kind of ensconced in blankets, but you can see like from the expression on her face just how like unappreciated and kind of cast aside that she feels, and you can just see that like emanating off of her. And I also think her monologues are really good, like the monologue that's happening over that shot. um she just delivers it very well, and I think like on the surface the character seems like a badass, but you can see that like she does fumble at times, and just the dejected look that she has on her face when she gets apprehended, um like is so memorable. And I really love the scene after she goes to Lockjaw's apartment when you can see her walking back in the night, and you can see this kind of combination on her face of um you know like regret and I mean I just think like it's an enigmatic performance, but it's also one that's really touching and poignant by the end because of the monologue that she gives at the very end in her letter to her daughter. Um, and so I just think she did a great job. Three, I would go with Sean Penn. Um, and I just think this is kind of like a villain for the ages in some ways. Um, like I don't really like Sean Penn that much, like as a person, but it's kind of like one of those things where like an actor's personality can actually inform the character they're playing if they're playing like a villain. um um and it's kind of one of those characters where like he has such a tough exterior to him, like in terms of like it's hard to crack it underneath and get to this and get underneath the surface, um to his more vulnerable sides, because the character is just so insecure that he puts up this wall. um and I just think it was so interesting to watch someone who is that insecure about himself and what he wants, um like to see that portrayed in a villain who um ultimately makes dangerous decisions because he feels he's been you know um wronged or belittled or in some ways emasculated. Like it's a scary character, but it's also one that you kind of immediately understand. um and yeah, I just thought he was really good, and he's also kind of funny too at times. Yeah. Number two, I would go with Jesse Buckley for Hamnet, and this is just a really great performance. I I love just how like luminous she looks when she's surrounded by nature, and I just love like the unadulterated expressions of happiness that she has in the initial scenes of the movie. And then um, once her son passes away, like you can really see that like guttural side of her come out, and I like how there's kind of like a rough hewn um, side to her too. And when she's sitting in the bed and explaining what happened to her husband who wasn't there, like you can just see this whole exasperated expression where and her hair is kind of like mangled, and um you can see that she's been crying. Like it just felt really lived in, and it was like, oh, this character is really trying to make sense of what just happened, but she can't. Um, like it just was really, it really popped. And obviously, the final scene where she sees the play is just really devastating and touching. So it's a really good performance. And even though I really like Jessie Buckley's performance, at number one, I would have to go with Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I think this is the performance of the year. I just was so impressed by her because, it's kind of like with Jessie Buckley, but like, like with feeling lived in, and how that exasperation really comes across. Um, but I would just say, like, I don't know. I really like how the character starts off looking kind of polished, and then you can see, like, um as she kind of starts to lose it more, like, it really just becomes about the terrain of her face and less what she looks like. And I think because the camera is zoomed in so much on her, um it's really just a showcase for her acting abilities, and she really portrays someone who's just been um pushed to the limit, and to the point where the world around her has become so cacophonous and imposing that she just can't take it anymore. And I love the scenes where she's laying on the couch talking to Conan O'Brien, um, because it just really gets across that whole sense of frustration with everything in your surroundings. Um, and I love the scene where she tells off the doctor too, because it's just like she's become so familiar with what this doctor is trying to do and how this doctor is trying to make her feel guilty. Um, and I really love the look of it, of her just becoming distanced at that point, even though she's actually crying. Like, I just think it's a really, really great performance, that shifts also from being kind of comedic to being just completely going to her just completely going for it. So yeah, I think it's a great performance.